The current penalty system in Formula One is archaic and not fit for purpose. Welcome back to the SFW channel, and I think it's time to talk about penalties in Formula One, especially penalties during the races. We had a great weekend, a great race, but it was sort of overshadowed at the end by the Antonelli Albon penalty. I sort of got flashbacks to a couple of years ago at the Australian Grand Prix. So let's have a little look at the penalty situation and why I think it's just a rubbish system that we currently have in place in Formula One. So we have Antonelli's reversal. He finished P5 but was dropped back into P4 again. Albon the other way P4, then dropped down to P5. Albon had a great performance in the race. And the penalty, I feel, just sort of dampened the mood a bit of the race, but I don't think it was as bad as it could have possibly been if there was maybe another safety car. It could have been so much worse. Think back to 2023 on Australia. Safety car, 2 laps remaining, then safety car coming up to the end, and Carlos Sainz has a penalty, and they cross the line under safety car conditions, and Carlos Rant has a 5-second time penalty applied. And he drops right to the back of the order. Why? I think that it's such a stupid system that we currently have in place. And especially if Carlos Sainz didn't necessarily deserve the penalty. It can absolutely ruin weekends. And like we saw, these penalties can get reversed by the FIA after the race. And that Sainz one, I remember him afterwards, 2, 3, 4 weeks afterwards, still fighting his corner on it. I think there has to be a better penalty system that we can use in Formula One than the current time cycle penalty, and also how they are applied during races. The penalties that can be applied during a race. So typically during the race, we see the time penalties are a 5 or 10 second penalty. We see drive-through penalties of driving through the pit lane, and we also have the 10-second stop-go penalty. So these can be applied during the race. Drivers have to enter the pits to take the penalties, or the time penalties can be added on to the end of the race. My massive problem with all of these is they are massively race-altering penalties that I think are so much worse than they need to be. Why can a 5-second penalty be taken at a pit stop or at the end of the race? Why don't we just put them toward the end of the race? What's the point? Seriously, what is the point of taking the 5-second penalty during a pit stop when if you get one on lap 60 of a 62 lap race, you just add it on to the end? Whereas you're adding already a couple of tenths during the race for the penalty, and then you might drop back into traffic because your 5-second time penalty. I think this terrible system in race penalties needs to stop. I don't know why we need to do this when we can apply penalties after the race in the future. And why I hate these, I've sort of already started it, but they're irreversible during a race. Antonelli and Albon's, it's okay. It got to move back. They flip positions back after the race. Not in the world. Imagine if that was during the safety car phase. Antonelli has to wait 5 seconds, will drop back in the pack behind the safety car, and then the FIA go, sorry guys, so it's okay. We made a mistake. We'll do better next time. It's not good enough. I don't think it's good enough. I think the teams can sort of see it's not good enough, but the system sometimes benefits them. It can ruin a weekend for a driver and a team when it just doesn't need to. It just doesn't need to. I don't get why they're sticking to these principles. Now, what would I change? All penalties applied after a race. Really simple, that one. Forget everything else. Apply the penalties after the race. No drive-through. No stop-go penalties. Everything is applied after the race. We have more information. All of the onboards make better decisions. Even if we apply some sort of penalty in the meantime, if it's a 5 second penalty, if it's a position drop penalty, something in the meantime I think has to happen. But it just doesn't need to be during the race because you can't change it. And this gives better flexibility on penalties. There's so much more you can do after a race. Of course, there's always going to be fines, but you could apply a grid penalty to the next race, like I've already mentioned. You could apply a time penalty after the race. You can limit testing time and wind tunnel time. You can maybe limit practice sessions. Maybe you can limit changeover and parts. Maybe there's a restriction on engines you can apply. Something else that can be applied after the race as opposed to just directly influencing one result. I think a big thing is the Verstappen and Norris incident. I believe it was in Mexico last year where Verstappen absolutely tries to ruin Norris's race, ends up ruining his own. But then looking at going, it's only dropping a place. Austria as well nearly ruined the race for Norris. And Verstappen got away with it, really. Verstappen and Hamilton, Monza 2021. Verstappen, no space to go for on Lewis Hamilton. And he basically gets off free with it. And I think the FIA have to take a stricter view on penalties, but I think applying them after the race and use grid penalties a lot more. Yes, we want to apply the actions performed in a race. We want to punish those in that race weekend. I fully get it. I fully get influencing that result because that result has influence for a different driver. I get it. But why can we not compound penalties? Why can we not stack penalties? Why can't it be a 5 second plus a grid penalty? I think there has to be something the FIA can look into. There's a better system than what we have now because the time penalties are not working. Verstappen doesn't care when he races. I genuinely don't mind Verstappen, but he will push and he won't give the space. He'll attack other drivers. He'll push them off the track. 5 second penalty in the past meant nothing to him. He'd take that, slap on the wrist, one, point. There has to be something more. Maybe it is a higher penalty points on their super license. Maybe they will get suspended for a race more easily. Maybe you reduce the threshold down. But I think the settlement system just does not do anything. It just doesn't do anything for drivers. And the FIA have sort of pigeonholed themselves into this area where some drivers aren't affected, some drivers are over affected. It can ruin races in real time by being applied stupidly and in bad times with bad decisions from stewards that change race to race. It's inconsistent and is not fit for purpose in Formula 1 anymore. Do I know the exact way to fix it? Of course not. But I'm just putting this out there that it's got to be better. A good weekend for Antonelli and Albon. Not take anything away from them. But all I could think in the back of my head was how much worse it would have been if Antonelli's weekend would have genuinely been ruined. And the FIA put out a statement on Monday morning after Antonelli drops the P8 through the safety car phase because of a penalty given to him. And there's another safety car. And then we say, oh, sorry guys, we got it wrong. That's all I'm trying to say. But yeah. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. And until next time, I'll see you later. Thank you.